Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz singer out of Denmark, Sinne Eeg. She keeps on releasing albums to increase that large fan base of hers, and her latest is 2017 CD Dreams. So she was born into a musical family in the Danish countryside and started playing music at the age of 4. By 16, she went on to the highly competitive Danish Music Conservatory, and over the years, her career has gone very well. She has received numerous awards and keeps on making that music. So please get to know her and dig this interview, my friends. Thank you for taking a minute out to speak with me today. I appreciate it.
Sure, of course.
Let me go ahead and dive right in here and get into your latest record, Dreams. Talk to me about this album. How do you feel about it?
I'm very happy with it. It's the first time I kind of stepped out of my comfort zone in Denmark and record an album in the States. And, gathering this group of people that I've admired for a long time. Usually I've recorded with, my regular musicians who are my friends, and they're amazing, and we know each other very well. But I felt it was time for me to try something else and pursue a dream I've had for a long time.
Speaking of pursuing dreams, with each of your albums, what is your goal? Are you trying to kind of capture the essence of your life at that time, or are you trying to grow and do different things with different musicians? What's kind of your approach?
I think it's a mix. I'm not the type of person who makes like one album is one huge statement. I think it's more like for me, music is like the top priority, and whatever music comes out of me at this given time is, that's what I want to put on my album. But of course, you can do a lot by choosing, are you going to record with a big symphony orchestra or just like a bass and voice duo? That of course gives a very specific signature to an album. And I have made like a few of those albums, but I guess like I've mostly been working with this quartet sound for many years, which I'm very comfortable with. In terms of my own composition, I feel like I'm writing for this sound.
And I want to go to the beginning of your life. You grew up in a very musical family. Your father was a musician, played the bass. Your mother sang and played the clarinet. Your brother played the sax, and your uncle was a multi-instrumentalist. So you clearly grew up around music, but I want to know, what made you want to get into jazz?
I think it was... I've been influenced by jazz music all my life. We had a very nice vinyl collection and CD collection, and also listening to my father and my brother playing jazz music with their friends, sometimes in the house. That, of course, inspired me. But I've also been influenced by other genres, so I think it's kind of like a fate thing. Because in my personality, I feel like I need to work in an environment where things are not given, that everything's open when we start playing, that we can take a song to another place every time, and there are not really other musical genres where you can do that. So because I feel like more like an instrumentalist, actually, than a singer. It was not really what I wanted to be, a singer. I just found out that was where my biggest talent was. But I think I saw myself more as maybe a saxophone player or a piano player when I was younger. Yeah.
The one thing about your life is that you've been very passionate about education. You went to the Danish Music Conservatory, and you've had a lot of teachers around you. What's some of the best advice that you've gotten in your life that's helped you not only grow as a musician, but as a person?
I can't give you a quote, but a very good teacher taught me to, kind of forget about myself and my ego in music, and let me just be like something that the music has to go through me, but the music is already there, and that's something I I take with me all the time. That the less I think about myself and my ambitions, and sometimes you're afraid of sounding bad, or and that makes you take less chances when you sing. If you're afraid of that, if you're afraid of making a fool out of yourself and making mistakes, just to be open and listen to what is there, what are the other musicians putting out there, and grab that and see what you can do with that. That was a good lesson.
You know, it's steadily over the years you've maintained and added to a very loyal fan base, not only in Denmark but around the world. How have you done that? Has that been a premeditated thing, or is that just something that's happened?
You know, very early I started going out of the country. You know, Denmark is so small. We're only like 5.2 million people, I think, and so there's not, you know, there's not a big base for like a jazz fan base there. You know, I felt like I needed to explore the world if I wanted to do this for real and for the rest of my life. So I started, you know, looking out and traveled to Japan and China very early, just after I graduated, actually, from the Music Conservatory. And I don't know, I sometimes I also discover that people know about my music in places I haven't been, and I don't know how they find it, but maybe that's the internet magic happening. But usually it's like, it helps, you know, being present in a country. Like, after I've started touring a little bit in the States, I feel like more and more people know about my music, because people share good experiences with each other. So if someone go to my concert, sometimes they call their friends in another state and tell them to go check me out. So I feel like, especially in America, people are very generous and helpful that way.
You know, speaking of that American tie-in, I want to ask you, being in Denmark, you know, there were a lot of musicians years ago that were leaving the States to come to Denmark to play. You got Ben Webster, and there was even Dexter Gordon, and there was a handful of American musicians. What's the spirit of that country that welcomed them so much, that they found their place and their humanness to really want to be there? What do you think it is?
Well, back in those days, I think Denmark did not have any racial issues, and we were not so afraid of people from other countries, because we hadn't seen the challenges of that at that time. So when people came from America, for example, colored people, they were not, you know, people were not skeptic. They were like, wow, interesting, exotic, and they're amazing musicians. So they were treated in another way than people would treat them back in the States. I mean, we didn't have that issue, you know, black and white issue at all. I mean, some people would be there could be awkward situations because of ignorance, because people actually never saw a colored person before in their whole life. But I think they felt very welcome, because people really appreciated them for who they were and the art that they brought to the country.
You know, the one thing about your career is that you've gotten a lot of awards. You've won 4 Danish Music Awards and a host of other awards. And I want to ask you this. I don't want to know what your favorite one was, but what award have you received in your life that really surprised you? You didn't expect it, and it hit you in a particular way.
There are 2 of them that really surprised me. Like, last year I received the Queen Ingrid Honorary Award, which is a huge award in Denmark, and it has never been given to a jazz musician, or, you know, usually it's given to a classical musician and a ballet dancer. So, and they give it out every second year, so it's not even every year. And I was just like, I was very shocked when they told me I was going to receive that. I didn't see that coming at all. I also received the award from France, the Académie de Jazz for Best Vocal Album of the Year, and that was that was a big surprise too, because it's of course it's amazing to receive an award in your own country, but the fact that people in another country consider you to deliver some of the best music that year is really an honor.
So let me ask you this, following up with that. Are you happy with how your career's turned out up to this point?
Yeah, I'm very happy because just being able to sing and write music full time is like it's something that shouldn't happen. Actually, I mean it's impossible, But somehow it worked out, and I'm often telling myself that I should remember to really appreciate it, because it's a dream for so many musicians, and it's so rare that you can actually do what I do, and I get to travel. It's a good life.
Have you seen, what jazz shows have you witnessed firsthand that really made a profound impact on you?
One of the biggest experiences was when I saw Cassandra Wilson first time. I think I just started singing at that point. That was really a fantastic experience. When I started singing, I listened mostly to Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, the big old singers, American singers. And then I saw this Cassandra Wilson, and I hadn't heard any of her music before the concert. So I was just so amazed by her presence and her focus and creativity, and it just blew me away.
Let me ask you this. Why do you love jazz?
Well, I think it's because, there's so much room for you to be you. You can really, put your big fat fingerprint on a piece of music because it's so open. And yeah, it's the freedom and the way you can communicate with your musicians. It's like a conversation instead of just a performance. Yeah. I think that's what I love the most.
So let me ask you this. Everyone has a version of who you are as a person, your family, your friends, your fans. But when you wake up and face the day, who do you think you are?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. I feel so extremely tired in the morning, so it takes a while before I really start recognizing myself.
I understand that.
Actually, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not I'm not a person with a big, drive and big energy. It takes something, a spark to turn me on, and I'm very, very, very slow in the beginning before I start doing something, play some music or talk to somebody, or yeah. I'm kind of a zombie.
It's all good. It's all good. Hey, thank you for taking some time out for me today to talk about your new album, talk about your life and music. I really appreciate the time that you've given me today. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to yet another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Denmark, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Sinne for her time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at YouTube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.